Welcome, beautiful souls, to a very special transmission on this auspicious day of the spring equinox. As the earth renews itself, blossoming into full splendor, we too are called to embrace renewal and growth. Today, I'm incredibly honored to share this sacred space with Carola Guzman, a beacon of light and wisdom in our journey toward authenticity. In this moment of balance where day equals night, we find a powerful metaphor for our own lives. The spring equinox invites us to find harmony within, to align our actions with our truest self, and to blossom alongside the natural world in a celebration of renewal and authenticity. Carola, thank you so much for your time, for joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Monica, for inviting me. I feel really very honored to be here and sharing with your community, with your followers, and I'm so excited to be able to share a little bit of what I know and what I have experienced about the topic today's topic, that it will be authenticity and the
Yeah.
spring equinox. And so thank you so much for inviting me. I just want to start with a little bit of storytelling because one of the most common questions that I have, me as a therapist, is what is my life purpose? And I think it's very, very connected to authenticity. And in fact, I think they walk together, right? So this question, it's always around in the minds of the people, like, what is my life purpose? What I'm doing here in the earth? What do I came in to do in this planet? And I don't think, and sometimes also they ask me, like, what is my vocation, right? Like, what do I have to do? And what I think is that it's not something to ask that what is that I have to do? What is that vocation, or what is my life's purpose? But it's also, the question has to be, how can I remember my life's purpose? And that change, uh, that changed a lot in us, right? When we put the question, like, how can I remember, instead of what is my life purpose, it's totally different. And um and the question is, how can I cultivate that courage to do that leap, like to really make that shift in my life and to jump into my old new version, maybe my or my new version of myself, or maybe my original version of myself, like how do I came to the world. And that's when authenticity starts, when we question ourselves, how I was when I came to this world, how I was when I literally was born. um so since we are born till we became adults, we start to forget our 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 purpose. We start to forget like our true inner, like our inner truth, but also like our how can we express in our truest version. So authenticity plays a role here, right? It really plays a big role here, because we really want to become our most authentic version of ourselves. But how can we do it, right? And if we are not in our truest version of ourselves, or this authenticity, we start to create a lot of confusion. We start to create a lot of anxiety. We start to create a discomfort in our lives, anger, and mainly frustration. I think if you ask a lot of people right now, and how we live in this fast pace right now, is because we are frustrated. We are this very, very uncomfort. We have a lot of anxiety, but that anxiety really comes from not being in our authentic version, but also not being in that path, right? Not walking that authentic path. So that's why I started talking a little bit about life's purpose, because it's totally related. And now that we are starting a new season, that now in the spring equinox, we really come from this winter, right? This winter season when we are in a cave, we are like literally in a season where we are doing a lot of introspection, we are doing a lot of contemplation, and then spring comes to really take that path, to really walk that path, right? And we never know how long we're gonna live in this planet, so it's always opportunity to walk that path. We all always have it, but spring is the best season when we can start walking that path, right? Because everything is blossom, the sun is coming, and we need to bloom with the season, with the nature, right? We have to bloom together in the cycles of the nature. So yeah, so now I think a lot of people, and in our society, we're living with too much anxiety, too much confusion. But that comes because we are really like, how can I say it? Like walking into the right when we need to walk to the left, right? And our life purpose is not something is not a to-do list, it's not a career, it's not a job, it's not a experience also, right? It's really it's the path of authentic self-expression. That's really our life's purpose, is how can we express in our most authentic self. And it's any time at any place, right? It doesn't need a job, doesn't need to be something like I don't know, a project that where we can express ourselves, or painting right, or a podcast, but it's all the time with our partners, with our best friends, with our clients, with the unknown people, with in all the time, the most authentic we become, the most successful we're gonna feel in our body, in ourselves, in our minds, in all our self, right? We're really will be in touch with success, and we're gonna feel it, right? We're gonna feel it in all our body. Let me know if you want to if you want to say something, but
I Something that you said kind of like it resonated definitely. This courage, you say you need courage to be authentic. And I think that the courage that is needed is also to shed all the beliefs that, like you said, we were born in a pure state of divinity. And
yeah,
as we grew up, we were like, no, you can't do this. You're not like this. Is not right. And so you start creating these beliefs and these like barriers and obstructions about your own potential, that it takes courage at the end to say, no, 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 this is not mine.
yeah, and you struggle
It
with that.
takes courage to believe in yourself. It was so much easier for me to believe in the external, in the power that I saw outside, than in myself. And so I do feel like that resonated when you say you need courage. To be authentic takes courage, because it takes a lot of courage to believe in yourself, to believe that what you want to do is that right thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think that courage that we need, it's really because we're gonna be against some voices. We're gonna be against the voices of society, of society's desires, or our parents' desires, our brothers' desires, or voices that we hear outside of us, and because we want to belong to a place, because that's our nature, we are afraid of being alone. So we think if that we are walking our inner truth, or our highest purpose, we are gonna lose all that community, we're gonna lose that family. And that's the biggest fear that we had that we had, that it really like prevent us to find our truest version of ourselves, and to express in our most authentic self. So, and you really tap onto the real question that I was going to say, that we have to ask ourselves, like, what do I need to let go? That's the first question. Like, it's not like what do I want to do, is what, because you already know what you want to do. You already know your highest purpose, your life's purpose. You already know that. But you only have to remember. But to remember, you have to understand what you have to let go. What are those behaviors? What are those thoughts? What are those beliefs, as you said? So it's really about letting go, right? About literally putting us outside of this character. And I don't know if Jim Carrey, this renowned actor, he always said that depression, it's our avatar telling us that it's tired of being in that character that we are trying to play, right? And that's really depression, like our body telling us we need deep rest because we are very, very tired. And this is happening nowadays, that we see ourselves very tired, like all the time. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so frustrated. Or that's because we are, I think you know more about, you know a lot about spirituality, but I'm going to say this word, like our prana, right? Like when we live our dharma, when we are really walking our truest path, we are fulfilling ourselves in prana. And if not, we are literally like draining ourselves, and or our prana is going away from us. So this vitality that really fulfill us and give us all this energy to have this meaning to life comes from living our most authentic version. And so that's what I was saying, life purpose. And that's why I start with life purpose. It's that it's really living our highest self expression, our most authentic self expression, right? Um, so I have a little like a dynamic, some questions, because people will say like, oh, well, yeah, how can I find it, right? so, so what I will start doing some questions just for the public who will hear us later or now, really have something after this beautiful ritual that you guide at the beginning, these like contemplative questions or introspective questions. So I'm going to start. If you want to say something before I do the questions.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Just go ahead. I'm excited, actually.
Yeah. So the first question I want to say is that what I write it here, because if not I forget, what I am doing when I am in my more expansive version, like what I am doing, right? And you for all the people who is hearing us, you can close your eyes, take a deep breath or 2 or 3 deep breaths, and really tap into your more into your heart, or focus or the all the energy and consciousness in your heart, and ask this question, like, what am I doing when I am in my more expansive version? Like maybe it is hiking, maybe it is riding my bike, maybe it is traveling, maybe it's knowing people, maybe it's in a social event, or maybe it's doing research. Like this is my case, right? Like that's when I start all these authentic self-expression path, right? I'm doing all my introspective, like traveling and journey. It really, I was asking myself, what do I love doing? And it was like literally being in a library all the time doing research. And that's why I start like cutting through all my business, and I stop I want to stop doing like the next month therapy because that was not my highest version, right? It's not that you dislike, because you can like it a lot, and that's why we get confused. Maybe you can like it a lot, but it's not your highest or more expansive version, right?
And that was hard,
Yeah, it is really
wasn't
hard,
it?
because
Yeah.
letting go, as I said, of something that you really like is very, very hard, because it's something that you like, but you know it's not where you are radiant, it's not where you are shining the most, right? It's not where you feel really, really, really expansive. It's not the place where you really think you can share more or help more. So I think that's why we have a lot of confusion now, because we are very or at least me, but I think a lot of people has like many, many versions of themselves, and some of them are like, oh, I like writing, but I also like writing, but I also like singing. But we have a lot of facetas. I don't know how to say it in English, but a lot of different characters, right? And
And we wear masks. We have like these masks that we,
but there's
yeah.
there's only one that really you say like, this is like me, like, or this is where I feel like, right? So you need to for all the people that is hearing us with your eyes closed, like really you have to say like, this is me, this is me, not tired of being someone, right? This is me not trying to be or prove anything to anyone, right? This is the question. The other thing is, when you are in that place, if it is, for example, riding a bike, like, what are your behaviors? Like, this is the second question, like, what are your behaviors? How are you dressing? Like, is it more relaxed? Is it in sports? It is, or maybe you are very sensual and sexy. Like, how are you dressed? Because this will give us a lot of insights of what is our truest um authentic self, right? Because this authentic self expression is expressing in many ways: the way he talks or she talks, the way she dress, right? So the third question is, how do I speak in this in this expansive version? Is it I'm speaking loud, I'm speaking fast, I'm speaking very calm down, am I speaking with very lovely? What's the tone of your voice there, right? um so because voice give us our inner truth, right? It's really like, here I feel like very comfortable, I feel like I can be myself here. I don't have to say very I don't know, these words that I have to impact people, right? It's just me. um
And it comes more natural. Like you feel more natural.
yeah, sometimes we force too much to be someone, and that's when we are disconnected with our inner truth, right? And if you see people that they are very famous, or they have very a lot of followers, or people that is very success in their projects, is usually the common the common the most common things that the things that they have in common is that they are very authentic, very, very authentic. They don't have to hide anything. They are themselves, even though they are they speak different, or for example, it comes to my mind right now, like Sofia Vergara, right? Like, she was not trying to speak perfect English like me. She has a broken English, right? Like me, as I said, really impacts uh people, right? Like that's why she became so famous, because she was not trying to be someone else. She was just her, like with her broken English, with not very fluent, but not with she can't she was not trying to have a American accent. So she was just her, and that's what really, really, really makes Sofia Vergara, right? um so that's what I'm trying to say. Like, what is your true self? Like, when are you not hiding of anyone, right? Or who, with whom you are, that you are not hiding, right? Like maybe it's with your best friend. So how are you with your best friend? How are you with your partner? Like, this is who you really want to be with everyone, right? And the last questions is, just to close a little bit for the people who is hearing us, is to close your eyes again and ask yourself, like, what were you doing in your childhood, in your free time, right? What were you doing? Like, what were your favorite games or toys? And the other one is, like, when you were alone, this is the more important question. Like, when you were totally alone, what were you playing? Like, what was your favorite um game, or what were you doing, right? When you were alone. Because sometimes when we are when we are in our childhood, we were playing with our friends, but maybe it was the favorite game of our friends. But when you were alone, what were your choices? So this is the last question. Like, what were your choices when you were alone, and what were you playing in your childhood? The other question is, and you can write it, like you can write down these questions and maybe dive very deep when you are in when you have I don't know, 30 minutes in the night or something, and maybe you can
You
question
can
yourself
pause.
on the
Yeah, pause the recording, journal, take
Yeah,
your time.
exactly. You start journaling or meditating on that. And you don't have to meditate for 5 minutes. This is something you have to really, really, really question yourself very deep. Maybe it will take a month, 2 months, 3 months. This question could take you literally 3, 4 months, because we have a lot of layers we already have done, that it's very difficult to let it go. And it will say that, I was, I don't know, we're gonna answer and we're gonna react with what we already programmed, but not with our truest voice. So we really, really, really need to take time to answer these questions, right? And the other one has to be not with our past, but it has to be with our future. Like, what's that thing that you are most afraid of doing? What is that thing that you are most ashamed of doing, but that you will love to do? So it's kind of tricky. It's something that really terrifies us, but we really want to do it. It's just like, for example, I really want to climb the mountains, but I'm so afraid, right? But my higher self really want to become a climber, or or a hiker, or whatever, right? And my path is in the sports, but I have so many layers, or I have so many beliefs, or I have a trauma, or something that it really prevents me to really fulfill in the path of becoming a hiker, right? A professional hiker, maybe that's your path, right? Or maybe a comedian, because the other day I heard that story of someone that he was a lawyer, and one of his biggest fear, or maybe what he was more ashamed of doing in front of people, is making them laugh. And he was a lawyer. He was, these lawyers, very serious. And by doing this question, he understands that what he really want to do is to become a comedian. So he become a comedian, and now he's very, very famous. He's a very, very famous comedian, Mexican comedian, and he just dive into, like this deep question. And he was just saying, like, I'm very ashamed of doing this, because all the seriousness that he took about becoming an adult, right? So that's the question we have to ask ourselves: what I'm very ashamed of doing, or what I'm very afraid of doing, that I also love doing. Sorry, that I also will love doing, right? Like something that I really want to do, but because I'm so afraid of judgment, or so afraid of dying, I don't want to do it. You know. um. So and the last question will be, what's the worst that can happen if I do that, or if I become that version? One time I asked myself this question. I'm going to be very, very vulnerable here. And one of the things that really, really happened to me when I was diving into those questions is what I'm very, very afraid of is just like the way I speak sometimes. It's very like, I don't know, like tough sometimes, like sometimes I'm very tough doing or saying things. um and I don't have that cultivated that kindness of saying things. And sometimes I saw many podcasters or speakers that they are like that, and they have their audience, and people love them, and people like them, and and that's their personality. That's why they become so renowned, because the way they say the things, right, or the way they express themselves. But it comes from a authentic expression. So that's something that I was working on, like, how can I express myself but not being ashamed of expressing myself the way I say the things. um so this is something you have to ask yourself, like, what's the worst that can happen if you do that? Maybe is, I will attract a lot of haters. I will attract a lot of judgment, and you don't want that. You don't want to be rejected. But let me tell you something. If you are not open to being rejected, you will never be open to success, because this is a dual life. And the more success and acceptance we have, it's also the more rejected we're gonna become. It's a balance. It's, like, if you see artists, or if you see these celebrities, they have a very, very big fans, but they also have very, very big haters. and this is it. It's we live in a dual life. It's black and white. Just to close, maybe what I want to say is, living your dharma is something that, dharma, like our life's purpose or our dharma, it's really something that we want to live daily. It's not something that we want to live in our jobs. It's not something that we want to live in our career. It's not something that we want to live in our free time or in our hobbies, right? As I said, good example, like, I feel expansive riding a bike. It's not something that you really want to live just during riding a bike. You want to live expansive all the day, all the time, right? And this is really freedom. And just to close a little bit, is authenticity. It has to be, and is connected with living free, or freedom, like literally finding that freedom that we are all craving as living beings and as soul beings. We want to be free of literally being who we are, with no judgment, right? With not feeling, but because judgment will be there, but with not being afraid of being judged, right? not being afraid of being who we want to be and who we we were born, right? We were born very free, so that's what we want to be again, in that place of freedom. Mhm.
Okay, so my question for you is, what we were working and talking about during the ritual was a lot about manifesting our, like dream life, and calling in the elements, the earth, the water,
Yeah.
and bringing reverence back to meeting the elements and all of that. So to connect both the ritual and what you're sharing, how do you think that authenticity is a factor for, or is an yeah, is a determined factor for manifestation? Is it connected? What do you think?
Yeah, it's truly connected. So, just to connect a little bit with the elements, fire is the courage, right? So the fire will give us the courage, that brave energy that we need. It's the action, because fire is the action, literally. So that's why courage has to be with action, to take action, to do things, right? To the path of action that is here, that is literally what things that I want to do, like what things I should be discovering, or where should I be traveling, or it's more related to the action and the to-do list, for example. But it's about courage. We need that fire energy. People that doesn't have that courage, it's because they lack fire energy, right? And the ether and the air is real. So ether is more related to our intuition, to our contemplative state, right? So all these questions that I'm doing has to be with ether, has to be with this air energy, this bata energy, like in Ayurveda, that it's really really connected to do more introspective work, to really dive into your heart, and go to your heart and say, what really I want to do, what really, where is when I am in my more expansive version, what am I doing, how do I talk, how do I speak. So all this introspection and insights will come from this ether element. And air is all the process of contemplation, of meditation, of journaling. Does that make sense? So it's all this connection that will give us all these element. Water is how we the flow we have in life, like just the way we navigate life, and how we navigate that journey, since the moment we are literally taking action and courage, right? And since the moment we are literally sitting in our mats or safus and starting to meditate in ourselves, how can I go to my truest and authentic self, all that is the water, how you take action but not reaction, right? So water will help us to take literally like a river. If it has a stone, the water will find the way to continue to the path. It does not stop. It doesn't say like, oh, I have so many stones, I have to to stop, right? No, it just go with the flow. So it's a very, very, very deep journey, finding your authentic self. So the
Mhm.
water, we have to call the water all the time, because I have a project that is called Water Like Wisdom, but it's because of that, because water literally is wisdom. It literally give us all the flow, all these child and playfulness, right? Water is about playing in life, is about really discovering or rediscovering the child, right? Our inner child. It will literally give us the energy to play and to understand that this is just a game. It is not as serious as we thought. It's literally cutting the head to the adult and just play with it. Just play in life, right? So that's the water energy. Mhm. Um, and earth is when we really are very just grounded, right? When we really manifest that version. So earth is really when we are already in that avatar, in our future self, when we are already becoming and expressing that version, but also putting that version at the service of someone, to help someone, to return the energy to the earth. Is literally like the compost cycle, right? It's like I take from the sky and I return it from to the earth, and it is a cycle, right? I take from the ether and I return it to the earth. So it has to be uh take and give, right? I take and I give. How can I take? How can I give? So once I become that version, how can I give that to the people? How can I give my gifts? How can I share my knowledge? How can I share my skills? How can I share my talents to the world? Does that make sense? So it is totally related to the elements. Um
Yeah.
and they are, I feel like when you say that you were working with in the ritual to the elements, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's amazing because they are all connected, right? And they have a beautiful energy to help us really, really become that version.
And we felt it. I mean, I felt it. The
Mhm.
presence of the, yeah, the essence of the elements was so, so beautiful. But for those of you who will watch the recording and do the ritual, I really like what Carola is sharing, because you have to, before, so we were talking about having an intention, a desire, and feeling, tapping into the purity of that desire and that wish. But I think that before you write down your desire and start doing the ritual and manifesting, answer the questions. Just as Carola guided you, answer the questions and get down to an answer that is real, that is in integrity, that is,
Mm.
yeah, that is really, really gonna fulfill you. Because we can, we can try to manifest a car and $1 million, and that's all right. That's all okay. But if that's really gonna fill you in, if that's gonna make you shine and feel like, man, this is life. If it's gonna make you feel alive, it's not gonna bring more conflict, more anxiety, more persecution, more limitation. It's gonna make you feel completely alive. Then go ahead and do the ritual, because it has to be aligned with your authentic self.
The ritual sounds that it was very, very powerful, and it has to be aligned, definitely. If not, you're going to manifest something that you don't want, because we are manifestors. For we are all manifestors. We are manifesting all the time, and you are going to manifest very easily that version, but you're not going to like it, and you will be living frustrated again. So the purpose of this spring equinox is to really, really bloom, like literally, uh, sorry, to have this, this spring, but inner spring, right? Um, and yeah, like the definition or the meaning of life is different from anyone. Like our reason to live is very different. Our definition, like yesterday I was having a therapy with someone, I was coaching someone, and I was asking him, like, what's your definition um of money? Like, what's your definition of wealth, right? Because it's not the same for anyone. Like, everyone has their own definition. For a lot of people, wealth is about freedom. For a lot of people, wealth is about traveling. But for a lot of people, wealth is about having a house. So what's your definition of wealth? What's your definition of money? But mainly, what's your definition of life, right? Because and it has to be aligned with your authentic self. Sometimes, as I was saying, this client, like his definition of wealth, he was believing it was having a house and having, cars or more objects, and he was saying, but my true self doesn't want that. What he really wants is to travel, to have flexibility in the time, to really just be a YouTuber, and he's just doing something totally different, right? So for and also having security. So I tell him, like, if for you the most important thing is time, have freedom in you, have time, for yourself, or flexibility in your time and security, those things are the first things you have to chase. Because if you don't have the most beautiful or luxury house, it will not matter to you. But if you have those, security and time and freedom in your time, then you will feel fulfilled. And the other things, it doesn't matter. It matters, like, oh, it will be great if I have a beautiful house, but it's not something that really frustrate yourself all the time.
And who knows, if you're living your authentic path and you're going for like the most powerful version of yourself, probably those little things will just add themselves to
Yeah,
your
exactly.
journey
Yeah, but in the transition, it will not be a problem, right? During
for
the
sure.
transition of having it, you will not be frustrated because you already know the house is not your priority. Your priority is traveling. And if you're already traveling, or you're already being a YouTuber, or if or you're already whatever your priorities of wealth or the meaning of life are, you will not have uh that, like I was saying, the prana, like you will not be like, um I forget the word I was using, but draining yourself all the time. That's what I want to say. And because you're gonna be so fulfilled, you're gonna attract that house instantly. Yeah, so yeah, it's totally connected.
Yeah. Is there any last piece of advice you have for our listeners today?
I think that's many questions for them to dive in. But what
But it was great.
yeah, so what I maybe just to close is to really really take the time to do this, because we never know when we're leaving this planet. And I think death is something that has to be in our minds, and we have to be more friends of death in the sense of motivation and aspiration, like really saying, I don't know if I will be next year here, and if I want to publish my book, I have to start, right? Or if I want to live fulfilled, I have to start. So I think fire as an element here, because we're talking about elements, I think we need to call the energy and to call our fire father, and to really really start calling him and telling fire, fire, please come and please give me this courage. I think that's the most important, to take action, to do the first step.
Beautiful, beautiful. Carola, thank you so much one more time. This was such a powerful invitation to explore our authenticity, and your wisdom, your light is so valuable. Thank you to every one of our listeners for joining us today, for your willingness to be open, to be vulnerable, and also for the gift that you're to this world as you are embarking on this journey to your most authentic self. May the courage be with you, may the light be with you, and may you carry this energy of renewal and courage and authenticity into every facet of your lives. May the balance of this equinox serve you as a guiding light towards your true self.